Hi, it's Sarah from You Floral, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a super easy boho DIY dried flower boutonniere, just like this guy. And I'm going to show you all the steps you need, so stay tuned and let's get to it. For our supplies today, I've got a collection of different dried flowers here that I'm going to kind of cherry pick from and see what works with my vibe. This big guy here is a Pampas grass, and then I've got some Phalaris and some Italian ruscus that's been bleached and a couple of different other design elements. I've got this floral tape here. I chose white because it most closely matches the vibe of these flowers. If you're doing fresh flowers, you might want to use the green floral tape, but it doesn't really matter. I've got this gorgeous ribbon that is like a really nice airy light feel to it. I have pruners. And then I have these ribbon cutters. This is not super essential, but I find that sometimes ribbon, especially this really light and airy ribbon, will not cut with your kitchen scissors, or if it does, it has really jagged edges. So it's helpful to have some really good scissors that are just reserved for ribbon. So we know now what we need to start this. Let's actually get to it. So I'm gonna have Pampas grass as my base to it. And this is a giant stem of Pampas grass. And so to actually use pieces from it, I'm just going to pull a couple pieces from the bottom of it. And so you can see that after I pull it, they're still quite large. So I'm gonna take my pruners and just cut them down a little bit so that I get more manageable pieces of Pampas grass, because I'm not trying to create a really wild and feathery boutonniere. I cut them down once here. They're still huge, so we're gonna need to cut them down into even smaller pieces. Pampas grass sheds a fair bit when you're working with it, but I find that once it's in place, it doesn't shed so much. So that's something to keep in mind, is that if it's shedding like crazy, it will shed less once it's in place. So we're going to be making essentially a little miniature bouquet, which is going to then become our boutonniere. So I'm making Pampas grass our base, and then I'm going to use this cool grevillea as another element to it. So for the boutonnieres, we want to have something that is kind of structured as the back of our boutonniere, and then we're going to add some of the smaller pieces as accents to it. So this grevillea is just adding some texture to the back of it. And then I'm going to add in a couple pieces of my Phalaris. I find things look nicer when they are odd numbers. Something about odd looks better in design. And if you stagger them, so I have the height difference between the three of these. And then I'm adding in some little small design elements, again, doing an odd number, staggering them so they're at different heights, and then just giving it a little bit of a snip here and adding that to my boutonniere. So this is really just about your art, so you can create whatever you want, but I'm pretty happy with how this is looking here. So now it's time to attach it together. So with my floral tape, it's actually not sticky until you pull it. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. So this is it straight off the roll. And I'm gonna give it a little pull. Look how much give it has. If I pull hard, it actually breaks. You have to pull pretty hard in order for it to do that. So I'm going to cut this one here so I can get a fresh start here. And then I'm gonna take my floral foam, my floral tape, and I'm going to start wrapping it around this little bundle here. I have to keep pulling it in order for it to remain sticky and to apply tension to it. So I've got it wrapped around a couple times. It's firmly affixed here. I'm just going to tear it to take off the tape. So now I've got kind of these weird looking stems here, and I want my stems to actually show in this little boutonniere. So I'm going to have to make some fake stems because these look kind of weird. So I'm going to take some of my other dried flowers. I'm going to even up all the ends here. And I am going to cut them. And that's going to become my fake stems that I'm going to actually add to the bottom of my boutonniere. So I'm placing it over top here. And I'm going to take my floral tape and tape those fake stems over the top. So that way I have more substantial stem length in my bundle there. These are way too long, so I then take my pruners and just give it a nice even cut across the bottom. So now I feel happy with the number of stems that are on there. Now I'm going to need to hide this tape, so I'm going to use my ribbon. So I've cut a piece here already, and I'm just going to tie it onto my bundle. You don't really need to do anything super fancy when you're tying it on. So I'm just going to do a bit of a loop here. I'm looping it either way, making sure, of course, that your tape is hidden. And then just doing a knot and pulling hard on the knot to make sure it's secure and stays in place. So this one here covered quite a bit of space, so I might just kind of wiggle it a little bit to give it a little bit tighter. And then I didn't use any sort of boot sticks today, which if you watch another video, I show you how to use boot sticks in boutonnieres, but I'm just going to attach this one with a pin onto the lapel. Once you've got it in place with your ribbon, just give it a look and see how things kind of lay out so that you can give it a little bit of a twist to sort of adjust where things are. If this is too wild for you and too pampasy, you could of course always have cut them smaller. So just testing out kind of how it looks. It's quite a wild looking boutonniere, but if that's you, you do you. The same principles that I use to make this dry boutonniere are exactly the same as you would do with fresh flowers. So if you're gonna do fresh ones, this video is still super helpful for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching how to make a dried flower boutonniere, and let me know if you have any questions.